It is kind of funny that the premise for this show is that they cover murders that happen only in their building, only in their community, next to them. So every time there's a new body that's found in the building, they're kind of like, damn, that's crazy. And we're back. Welcome back to the TV Corner, everybody. Today we are talking about Only Murders in the Building Season 3. Only Murders in the Building Season 3 follows the gang as they solve the murder of famous actor Ben Glenroy just moments before starring in the opening of Oliver's production Death Rattle. It stars the gang, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, this time with Meryl Streep and Paul Rudd. Starting the highs off, I am, in general, just impressed at how they are able to continue this show and make it feel fresh, but not like they're jumping all the way off the bandwagon here. Like, there's such a fine line of being able to move a show into more seasons where it doesn't feel stale, like you're just doing the same thing over and over, but you're also not jumping the shark. Because a lot of people have problems with both. It's kind of hard to please people because, you know, on one side it's like, come on, do something else. And then the other side it's like, what are you doing? Stop changing everything up. But in this, I think they did a really good job of striking that balance. Especially considering the premise is about murders that happen only in their building. Like, how many times can that believably happen? And they addressed that in the season, so I think that was pretty funny too. I really loved the theater setting on this one. It was kind of perfect for like switching it up, but also keeping things in their wheelhouse because Oliver, obviously, he was a director for a lot of productions, so he's back kind of in his groove there. And Charles was an actor. He wasn't a stage actor necessarily, but he's kind of getting back, into his role a little bit by just bringing that on. And it was cool because not only did it make a lot of, like new situations for the characters, but it was a whole new location with so many other, little places to it, little hiding spots, just a lot of really cool things that we hadn't gotten to see it, before because we were just mostly in the main building. And it also made for some hilarious moments, especially between, Martin Short and Steve Martin because of just their dynamic in trying to get Charles, to act better, but also he's got this song that he's got to sing and he just can't get it. And there's one episode in particular that me and my family just busting out laughing the whole time. I swear to God, I'm going to be singing that stupid song about possibly murderous babies for like the next year. Which of the Pickwick triplets did it? Also, in my season 2 review, I had mentioned that there were a lot more people in that one, a lot more suspects. This one blows that out of the water. There are just so many people. And there's some that I noticed they don't even touch on. Like, there's so many people in the cast and crew to pick from. They're only able to highlight so many of them. But they just had a ton of suspects in this one, which made it that much more intriguing because you have no idea where this is going to go, who it's going to be. Is it multiple people? Is it one person? No clue. And I have to say, a lot of the answers that we figure out later on as to what is actually happening led to some really deep moments. Like, they were things that I really didn't expect. And there was one scene in particular, like in the penultimate episode, that was weird but really effective. It was odd, but I was like, this is really sad. Like, they did a good job with that. And kind of going along with that, with the emotional side of things, we got to see a dynamic of our main trio that we've never really seen before, which is more along, them having tension in the group. There's specifically like a lot of kind of separations and fighting and things like that happen at some point in this season. And I don't want to get too much into it, but that was just a really cool angle to go with because obviously, like, that's going to happen maybe at some point. They can't be amicable all the time. Things are going to happen. But it was really cool to see that because we hadn't really seen anything like that from them before. I do have one middle, and that is Selena Gomez's performance. A lot of people were saying that she was really flat in a lot of the episodes. Like, her acting was a lot flatter than normal. The reason it's a middle is because, one, I understand that she's going through a lot of like physical health issues. There's a lot going on there. I don't know the extent of it, but I know that she's going through some stuff. But also, I don't feel like it's that drastic of a change because I feel like her character's always kind of been like that. She's always been a little bit quieter, a little bit more out there, a little bit more reserved. kind of the loner hipster girl. At the same time, it was a little bit more noticeable, especially in the first couple episodes. There was just like, I don't know, some weird line reads and things. I wasn't really sure, but she had a lot of great moments as well. There was one in particular with another character that she meets that I thought was so funny. My lows are gonna be a little bit of nitpick, which of the nitpick triplets? Because honestly, there's nothing super huge. There's just tiny little things that, if I had to think of some lows. One is that they kind of get into this pattern because there's so many people of introducing like the idea that, ooh, it's probably this person. And this is like episode 3. So that's not probably the full story because there's 10 episodes. And they kind of do this over every episode where they like introduce like, oh no, maybe it's this person. And then the next episode we find out, it might not be. And, I'm not going to obviously say anything because it may end up not being the case by the time you get to the end of the season, that is what's actually happened. Like, anybody who is ruled out at the beginning of the season or the middle of the season, don't actually rule them out. But for me, like, watching it all the way through the first time, it did feel a little bit like, okay, if they're introducing this person as it might be them, it's probably not, so, I don't feel as much of the tension. It's a little bit weird, but again, I'm nitpicking. The other thing is that, and this is something that the whole show has done over the course of a couple seasons now, there are certain characters who I'm surprised have come back. Like, it's pretty cool that they're able to weave a lot of these people in. They have so many characters, and I think they do a really good job of bringing them back for certain things. But now that there's so many characters, it is starting to feel a little, just the tiniest bit, like they're just throw this person in for one episode and then they pull them out. And it's a little bit odd, just the tiniest bit. But specifically, there's a lot of characters from season to season that don't make it to the next season. And it's just not explained. Like, we don't know why. They're just not there anymore. They're never addressed. I will say this one, Lucy, Charles's daughter, isn't in it. And I thought that was kind of odd, especially considering she was there the night that Ben fell on stage at the end of the second season. So I thought it was a little weird that she wasn't at least in the beginning. But, I'm hoping that in the fourth season, maybe they can bring some of these people back or like address maybe what happened to them. So overall, Only Murders in the Building season 3 is still just so good as the first season. It is like the writing is so smart. There's so many cool new locations, new characters, lots of interesting things that they do with it. The mystery, once again, like, it doesn't feel like they did like a generic mystery ending. There was something interesting and different in it. And just generally, I just, again, love the vibe. I love them just hanging out. I love the fact that this whole thing was about like a production, because you could see from like point A to point B, like how they were getting everywhere, not only with the mystery, but with the show. And there was a lot of surprising cameos that came with that, which was really cool. It was just really, really fun, and also just really enhances the fact that these writers are just so good. And honestly, it just really proved that they can do anything with these characters sometimes. And while it might seem really stupid or it'd be really bad in other shows, because it's two of the main three are these old guys who are not supposed to get stuff, or they're not cool necessarily, it kind of works. Lots of fun, lots of mystery, lots of insane laughs and shocks. I'm really excited to see what they do for season 4 because it is officially coming back. I'm going to give Only Murders in the Building season 3 a 3.5 out of 4. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of season 3. Let me know how it fares for you against the other two seasons and what you're excited to see about in season 4, with no spoilers, if possible, because there's a lot of shit that happened at the end of this episode. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and TV shows right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.